Hello guys, welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we will be learning about programming paradigms. Programming paradigm means the style of coding, what style we adopt to code, that we will see in deep in this session. Programming paradigms, so which means style of coding, and then we will see how to write our first program. I think yesterday we have seen only the basics of how computer works, what is program, what is operating system, what is a compiler and interpreter difference, and what is the difference between low level and high level languages. These concepts only we have seen so far. So still we are not into writing programs, so today we will start writing a program, basic kind of program, and we will see the structure of a C programming code snippet. Then we will see about data types, variables, operators, and conditional statements. So guys, whoever is seeing this video, I just recommend you to go back to the previous video, see the complete video, and then come to this video. That might cover only the basic concepts, but one or two concepts might be very new to you, and once you see that video only, you'll be able to catch up with the flow of my lectures. Okay, fine, because I might use certain terminologies from the previous videos, so it will be better if you just watch the previous video and come back to this video, right? Fine. So we will start with first of all, programming paradigms. We have several programming I told you that programming paradigm means style of coding, the way how you code. Okay, so initially what we will do is that let us start with programming paradigms. So if you see about programming paradigms, we have certain types of programming paradigms. First of all, I'll just list out what is a type of programming paradigms, and then we will get into each and every type of programming paradigms. Okay, so very first programming paradigm is monolithic programming. So the very first one is monolithic programming. You might wonder why we are looking at these types of programming paradigms now itself. Before starting, you should know this. Okay, so you should know what are all the programming paradigms available, what is the style of coding available, which style of coding you should choose, which will be better. So when you go later, when you just place in a big company, product company, and when you are working as a software developer, you should know what style of coding you should practice now itself. The style of coding has to be a habit, so you should cultivate the habit of maintaining a standard style of coding. So you should know what is the type of standard coding available, style of coding available, and you should choose the best among it, and you have to make it a habit. Whenever you code, you should follow that particular programming paradigm. So first one is monolithic programming. The second one is modular, or otherwise called as procedural programming, and the third one is called as object oriented programming. Object oriented programming. So these are the three major types of styles of coding available, and we will see each and every algorithm paradigm, or not algorithm paradigm, we will see each and every programming paradigm. The very first kind of programming paradigm is monolithic. What do you mean by monolithic? For example, I have not shown you the skeleton of any programming language, but let me write a very simple kind of thing. Let me write, that is something called as main. Okay, this is like a manager, and inside this manager, let me consider that there are certain lines of code, some lines of code. So randomly there are a lot of lines of code available. Let me consider that a lot of available codes are there in it. So what I will tell you is that what is a monolithic code means, you have only a single body, and inside the single body, if you write all the instruction that is required to perform a particular procedure, then this kind of coding is called as monolithic. What is monolithic? Monolithic will be having only one body. It will be having only one body, and entire logic, the entire procedure is written inside only one body. when only one inside one body the entire code is written, the entire procedure is written. If it is small, then it is fine, but when it is a very big lines, big procedures, large number of instruction is provided, then it becomes very difficult. So how many people can manage this? Only one people can manage. You cannot split the work and you cannot assign it to different people, and you cannot, different people cannot work at the same time because only one body is available. So only one programmer can be using this, can manage this kind of code. So what is a monolithic code? Monolithic code means only one body will be there. Inside that say body, all the instructions are given inside this single body itself. Such kind of code is called as monolithic code. In this kind of code only one programmer can be assigned. Okay, fine. We will just come to the next algorithm paradigm. What is the next algorithm paradigm? It is modular or procedural. Okay, so what is modular or procedural? For example, let me tell you one thing. In an IT company or any organization, there is a manager, and under a manager 10 employees, or for example 3 employees are working. So for the manager, his higher authority is assigning some work. For a manager, his higher authority is assigning some work. So when the higher authority is assigning the manager with some work, that work is a very big, it's a very large task. When the task given by the higher official is very large, a manager knows very well that he independently will not be, he solely will not be able to finish that task. So what he did is that he will split the work to his 3 employees. So manager will not do any work, he will only assist them, and the 3 employees will do the work. So what I will tell you is that a task is given, task 1 is given. So task 1 is given to the manager. Task 1 is given to the manager by his higher official. And now what happens is, since manager will not do any work, what he does, he split this task into 3 subtasks. So subtask 1, and next one is subtask 2 and subtask 3. So what happens? Work is given to a work is given by the higher official to his manager, and manager will not do any work. So he's splitting this single task into 3 subtasks, and he's assigning these 3 subtasks to his 3 employees. So subtask 1 is assigned to employee 1, and then your subtask 2 is assigned to employee 2, and your subtask 3 is assigned to your employee 3. Fine. Now what is the work of the manager? The work of the manager is to just assist them. The work of the manager is to just assist them. So manager will not do any work, he will not do any task, he will only assist his 3 employees, and his 3 employees will do the task. So now what we are going to do is that, let me write a simple structure of it. So what we will do is that function 1, some lines of code inside this. So this is subtask 1, and the subtask 1 is carried out by employee 1. Then comes the next subtask. What is the next subtask? Subtask 2. So function 2. So this subtask 2 is carried out by employee 2. And now we have subtask 3. So the subtask 3, function 3, is performed by employee 3. So after this, what happens? There is a manager. What is a manager? Is called as main. And inside this, what this manager is going to do, main is going to control, he is going to assist his 3 employees. So main will not do any work, it will assist only its 3 function. So what function main is going to do? Main will just assist it, and it will use the 3 subtask details. So it will call function 1, then it will call function 2, and it will call function 3. I think, hope you understand by what is procedural or what is modular code. Now So I told you that there is a manager and his higher official is assigning a work to the manager, and the manager will not do any work. So he's splitting the task into three subtasks and he's assigning the three subtasks to three employees. And now what is the work of the manager? The work of the manager is to just simply assist his three employees. And now for the first employee, he is writing the subtask first one function. The employee 2 is writing the second function, subtask 2. And the employee 3 is writing the third subtask 3. And what manager is doing? Manager is assisting his three employees. Now tell me what is the difference between a monolithic and a modular code. Monolithic is having only one body, but here we are not having one body, you are having multiple body. You are having multiple body based on the subtask, based on the length of the task, for example. And when there are totally three subtasks available here, how many employees can be used? Not only one programmer, three programmer, or multiple programmers can be used. Multiple programmer can be used based on the length of the task. So I think comparing monolithic, I think modular or procedural code is a very better way of coding. So we should never ever write a monolithic code. We will have to look for a modular or procedural code. And what is the third type of coding? Third type of coding is object-oriented programming, whereas C will not support object-oriented programming, but there is one way of attaining it. There is one way of indirectly attaining object-oriented programming that we will see later. We are not going to see it now because you need to know exactly about what is functions. Here now I'm not teaching about your function, just I'm simply giving you, so I will teach you later about the functions in the upcoming lectures. So if you want to know about object-oriented programming, what you need, see the difference between modular, procedural and object-oriented programming is very less only. Okay, so that we will see later, because you need to know very well about structure and functions very well. Then only I will be able to tell you what is object-oriented programming. But comparing monolithic, modular or procedural is better, and comparing modular or procedure, object-oriented programming is going to be better than that. But object-oriented programming is not there in C. So according to C, what is the best way approach of writing a code? Modular or procedural is the best way of approaching a code. Okay, so keep this in mind. Whenever you want to write a program, you write a modular or procedural code. Don't write a monolithic code. Okay, so keep in mind about this. Okay, so hope we can go to next topic. The next topic is going to be your first program. So we will be now writing our first program, and we will be seeing the structure of a source code. Okay, so let me take a new document, and let me write first program, or let me write hello world, because see, every time when we try a first program in any programming language or any technology, we go with this word called hello world. So let me save hello world.c. The name of the file is hello world.c. So first thing that I will be doing is #include stdio.h followed by int main. So now you might wonder what these are. Okay, first of all, let us see this about later, but we will first of all finish with #include stdio.h. What is stdio.h? stdio.h means it is a library. It's a library. What is a library? Library means it's a collection of procedures. Certain procedures are written inside this, and using that procedure we will be doing certain actions here. For example, we will see. For example, I want to just simply display a message called hello world to the user. So I will use a function called printf. And this printf, what it is going to do is inside a double quote. So whenever I want to display a message, and that message should definitely is called a string. Okay, terminology wise it is called a string, and always the strings must be enclosed within a double quote. It should be delimited inside a double quote. So what I need to do, I should print hello world. So inside double quote, I'm writing hello world, and finally I'm giving a semicolon. What the semicolon is indicating? Semicolon is indicating that this is the end of the statement. So printf hello world is a statement. So we are used by using a semicolon. What we are doing? We are determining the end of the statement. Now, what does printf is going to do? Printf is going to display a message called hello world. Okay, it is going to display a message called hello world. And how it is displaying it? Who is defining the work of printf? How it is printing hello world? The working of printf is defined inside this library. So what is this library for? We use certain statements, and the behavior of the statements are written inside this library. So for that only we require this stdio.h. Okay, we will use a few more statements, but I'm showing you a very simple statement which is used inside stdio.h. So what printf has to do is written inside stdio.h. So if you want to use printf, then you have to include stdio.h. So you know what is library now, for what you are using a library. Okay, definitely this library is a standard default library, always you need to include in your file. Okay, fine. Now comes a main. What is a main? Main function is a default function that should be always present, because when I think in the previous video we saw about compiler. What is the usage of compiler? Usage of the compiler is to translate a natural language into a machine language. So you should translate this entire code into machine code, but where to start the translation? Your translation has to start from a particular point, right? That particular point is indicated by this main. Whenever you are writing the function called main, from this block only your translation will start. Your execution will start from this point only. Okay, so what is this int is called as? This is called as return type, or we will say int as a data type. That we will see later, but generally this is a function. And what is the main function? Main function is it is a starting point of a program. So compiler will always start from this point only. Fine. So what does this open curly braces and close curly braces is telling me? It is telling me that this function main called main is starting at this point and ending here. So whenever we open a function, we should close the function also. Okay, fine. So now inside this, what we are doing? We are printing a hello world, simple hello world. So let me save it, and let us first of all compile it and then execute. What is compilation? Compilation means translation. Why we need to translate? Because this is just English language. This English language is not understood by the machine, so you need to translate this English into a machine language. For that translation only, what we are doing? We are doing the compilation process. So how to do the compilation process? We have something called a GCC, and you should name the corresponding program file that will be created. So what I told you in the previous video is that if you compile this code, what will happen? A new .exe file will be created. Inside the .exe file, the corresponding machine language code will be stored there. So you should name that machine language file. For example, I'm naming it as hello, and followed by which file you need to translate. You need to translate the file called hello world.c. You need to translate a file called hello world.c. So let me compile it. Yes, compilation successful. If compilation is successful, what will happen? A file called hello.exe file will be created. Now what I'm doing, I'm just executing that hello file. I'm just opening that hello file. So once I click on it, what will happen? That executable file will be sent to the CPU. It will be taken to the RAM. So it will be taken to the main memory, and it will be executed by the CPU, and the resultant answer will be sent to the output buffer, and output buffer will send it to the monitor, and it is displaying here called as hello world. So hope you understand the basic structure of a program. So now what is the next thing that we have to do is that we will be entering into data types. Okay, we need to enter into data types. So before entering into data types, I need to just tell you why is data type needed. Why data types? Okay, so that we will see now, and we will just continue the further session also, right? So the next thing we will start with is data types. Why we require data types? Actually, we require data types. For example, I told you yesterday itself. Okay, for example, in order to find average of certain numbers, what we'll do: 12, 30, 23, 34, 45, 56. For example, five numbers you are writing. If you want to find the average of these five numbers, then what you need to do, you need to add all these numbers, then finally you need to divide it by 5. So I told you that the average finding is a procedure. So what I told you, procedure means collection of instructions. So I told you this is a data, and a certain instruction has to be performed upon the data to find the average. So what I told you yesterday is you have certain data and you have instructions, and this instruction have to be performed upon the data in order to get the output. So what I will tell you is that separately data is independently, it is not going to be useful. Similarly, independently, instruction alone will not help us. Instruction as well as the data together is going to help us. Okay, so without data, I don't need to write any procedure. Without a data, there is no need of any procedure. So data is a very vital component of any programming language, as well as it is a vital part of program files itself. Fine. So now coming to data types. Data types can be divided. Mainly it can be categorized into two. First main categorization is numeric data. The data can be numeric. The second basic kind of data, it can be either characters, can be called as characters, or I can say directly as alphabetic. Okay, either you can say characters or otherwise alphabetic. So coming to the very first categorization called as numeric, for example, we will see a price of the product. What is the price of the product? For example, if the price of the product is 12 rupees, then 12 is a numeric data. Then if you see the roll number of certain people, for example, let me consider that the roll number is like 25, for example. Okay, so if it is 25, then this is also called as a numeric data. For example, average of something. Okay, average of something. For example, if you find it is 15.35. So in the numeric data itself, you are able to see two different types. One is not having any decimal point, floating point. One thing is having a decimal point, partial, fractional unit. So numeric is itself divided into two parts. One is integer, the other type is going to be floating numbers. Okay, the other number is going to be floating numbers. So generally data type are classified into numeric and characters. And coming to numeric, in the numeric itself we are having two categorization. One is integer kind of data. Integer means no fractional, whole numbers. Coming to average, if you are able to see here, this is a fractional number, partial number, decimal point is there, floating number is there, so it is called as floating numbers. Fine. So now let me come to characters. For example, coming to character, if you see, there is something called as door number. For example, if it is door number, what is a door number? Door number can be okay, before seeing door number, we will see a few other things. For example, name of the people. For example, name, for example, my name is Sachin, so let me take Sachin. Characters, alphabets, completely alphabets. So this is character, or we can say alphabetical data. And for example, some other data if I want to take, I can take, for example, Manoj. So these names are actually character data, they are alphabetical data. And finally, I'll tell you something, door number. If you see the door number is a mixture of number as well as for example, 128-A. It is a collection of number as well as a character. What you can call it as alphanumerical characters. You can take it as a separate classification also, but what we are considering is it is also a characteristic data. It is also a characteristic data. Fine. So now the next thing that we are going to see is that data types are classified into numeric and character. Okay, fine. But it is classified inside C in a different way. So we will see that classification also. This is the general classification of data. We will see the classification of data types inside a programming language C. So data types in C, how it is classified. So we will see that. So there are three categorizations available. The first categorization is primitive data type. Primitive data type. What is the next data type? The second data type is a user defined data type. So we have primitive data type, we have user defined data type, and we have a derived data type. We have three kinds of data type. And now inside primitive data type, if you see, we are having two more subdivision inside this primitive data type. What is the first subdivision we are having? Integral. Integral means a single unit. Okay, single unit. And inside integral, what are coming under integral data type is integer and character data type. Integer and character data type. So inside this, what we are having integer and we are having character. Two data types as integral data types. Next, what is the next categorization under primitive data type is floating point, that we already see. What is floating point? Float. Float will come under float and double. There is one more data type called double. And both this data type will come under floating point. See here, integral means it is going to be integer. I'll write the keyword itself. Int is a keyword. Character, small c. Okay, character. And now coming to floating point, we have two kinds of floating point available. One is float, keyword called float, and the other one is a keyword called double. What is double? Float and double are same, but the range is actually different. The range is actually quite large. Float is a little smaller, double is a little larger one. And now after this, so this is what inside a primitive. So now if I just come to user defined, data type, then we have three user defined data type. One is enum, enumerators, enum, and the next one is structure. 2.3, the next one is union. So enumerator, structure, union, all these three are called as user defined data type. These are called as user defined data type. Then coming to derived data type, then we are having two derived data type. First one is array, and the next derived data type is actually pointer. So if you see the classification of data types in C, we are having three classification: primitive data type, user defined data type, derived data type. Inside primitive data type, we are having two classification: integral and floating point. Inside integral, your integer and character data type is coming. Under floating point, float and double takes place. And the second categorization is user defined, inside which we are having enumerator, enum, structure, and union. And the last categorization is derived data type, and we are having array and pointer inside this derived data type. And we will see each and every data type in detail in the upcoming lectures. Each and every lecture we will be seeing all these things. Okay, so hope you get a knowledge on the classification of how data types are classified. And now let me go to the memory part of it. See, because whenever a data is taken, the data will always require some space to be stored, some memory to be stored. So when we speak about memory, what is the form of memory? The form of memory is byte. The third thing that you should know, the next thing that you should know is that a memory is a byte based one. So memory is a byte based one. It's a byte. Okay, what is 1 byte is defined as 1 byte is equal to 8 smaller bits actually. So 1 byte is equal to 8 smaller bits. So now we will take each and every primitive data type and we will see what is the exact memory it is going to occupy, the size it is going to occupy, and we will also see the range of it. Okay, fine. So if you see, first of all, let me take the data types. We will see data types and we will see the size of it, and after seeing the size we will see the range of it also. The first one is integer. What is the size of the integer? It depends on the compiler. It can be either 2 or it can be either 4. It is based on the compiler. All the compilers are taking 4 byte only, but coming to 2 byte, Turbo C is only taking 2 byte. Apart from Turbo C, all the other compilers are taking 4 byte. But in all the explanation, what I will be doing is that I'll be taking 2 byte, because why I'm taking 2 byte is that it will be better for explanation, because 2 byte means 16 bit only will be there, and it will be very easy for me to explain you, to make you understand. So for that assumption only I will be taking 2 byte, and apart from this, majority of the compilers are having only 4 byte. Okay, so don't confuse yourself. Fine. So you can say that if totally 2 bytes are there, for example, if totally 2 bytes are there, how many bit you will be taking? How many bits you will be taking? So we will be taking fine. So for example, let me consider that we are taking 4 byte. If 4 byte is taken, how many bit will be there? 1 byte means it is equal to 8 bit. So suppose if I am taking 4 byte means how many bit it is actually? So if it is 4 byte means it is equal to 8 into 4. So 4 byte is equal to 8 into 4, totally 32 bits will be there. If there are totally 32 bits, now tell me how it is the maximum number that you can do, maximum the total capacity. If 32 bits are there, then totally 2 power 32 is the maximum capacity. What is 2 power 32 actually? 2 power 32 is actually, if you see, 2 power 32 will be equal to, exactly if I want to see 655 26, it's 65526. But the general integer is actually unsigned one. Unsigned means it is a signed one. Signed one means it includes both the positive numbers as well as the negative number. So you are not going to take from 0 to 65,526. You are going to split this into two equal part. Half the part will go to the negative side and half the part will be there in the positive side. So if you divide 65,526, you will get the range of integer. So if you divide 65,526, it is equal to 32,767 actually. Okay, it is 32,768. So I can say that I can from minus, so from minus 1 to minus 32,768, totally you have 32,768 numbers, 32,768 numbers. So this is the left side negative part. Now let me come to the positive part. Positive part means from 0 to, it is not from 1. So from 1 to 32,768 you can say, but there is one number in between which is 0. So if you are including 0, I think you can remove one number from here, so it becomes 67. So what you can say, it is between, so why we are reducing one number from here? Because we are not starting from 1, we are starting from 0. One extra number is taking. So when one extra number is taken, from 0 to 32,767, totally 32,768 numbers will be there. So that is why I'm not taking up to 68, I'm taking up to 67 only. So you can generalize this into, this range can be between minus 32,768 to 32,767. So hope you understand the range, how this range is coming here. Okay, now let me take the second data type. What is the second data type? The second data type is float. Float is always 4 byte. There's no confusion like here in integer. Here definitely the size will be 4 byte. So if the size is 4 byte, what is going to be the range? Here float also we cannot say the same range because it is float. It can have a decimal point also. So what is the range is minus, it is the range is actually minus 3.4 multiplied by 10 power. Okay, it is 10 power, it is 10 power minus 38, it is 10 power minus 38 to 3.4 multiplied by 10 power positive 38. So 10 power, so it is going to be 10 power positive 38. So this is what the range of a floating number. So you are starting from minus 3.4 multiplied by 10 power minus 38, and it is coming up to the positive 3.4 multiplied by 10 power 38. Now what is the next one? Double. So taking the next data type called double, what is the size of double actually? The size of double is actually 8 byte. So coming to 8 byte, now what is the size of the range of it is minus 1.7 multiplied by 10 power, it is going to be 10 power minus 308. It is a very big value comparing float. Float is only minus 38, but here it is minus 308. Okay, so it is starting from minus 1.7 multiplied by 10 power minus 308, and it can take up to positive 1.7. It can take up to positive 1.7 multiplied by 10 power positive 308. So 10 power positive 308 can be taken. And coming to the next data type, so double and float, if you compare, both are little larger. Okay, double will be able to take a very large value and float will be able to take only smaller values. Let me come to the last data type, which is called as character. And we say that character will take only 1 byte, and there's a reason behind it, why it is taking 1 byte, that we will see now. But before that, if it is only 1 byte, if you see, you can say 1 byte means how many bit? 8 byte. 8 bit means what it is? 2 power 8. So if it is only if totally 32 bit means you will be able to store up to 2 power 32. If it is 8 bit means how much you can store? You can store up to 2 power 8. What is 2 power 8? It is equal to 256. So if you divide 256 equally, what you will get? You will get 128. So 128 negative numbers and 128 positive numbers. So I think we can start from minus 128, and from minus 128 to minus 1 you will have the half part. 128 numbers will be there. Then from 0 to 127 you will be having a next 128 numbers will be there, because you are including also 0. So you can say that minus 128 to 127 is the number. Fine. Now let me tell you one thing. Here you are saying character means it is like A, B, C, D. See, character means it is like A or B or C. This is what characters write. But what we are writing is, here we are writing numbers. How come a character be a number? Now we will know. Yes, there is nothing called as characters here in computer system, because we clearly yesterday's video we saw that only system will be able to, machine will be able to understand only 0, 1, 1, because it is an electronic device. It only follows voltage based system. What is a voltage? High voltage or low voltage. So either 0 or 1 only it will be able to understand. So there is nothing called as characters. So number is what is encoded into character, and that encoding system, what we did is that for every character we are assigning a code, integer code we were assigning, and that was carried out by an organization called ASCII, and that code is called as ASCII codes. What is ASCII? ASCII is American Standard Code for Information Interchange. This is what the full form of ASCII. So under ASCII codes, what they does is that for capital A, For the uppercase A, they were assigning a code called 65, integer called 65. For uppercase called B, they were assigning something called 66. For uppercase C, they were assigning it as 67, and up to. So up to Z, capital uppercase Z, they were assigning it with 90. So from 65 to 90 continuously, 26 alphabets, capital A to uppercase A to uppercase Z was placed. And now after that, what happened? After that, you were assigning lowercase characters. Lowercase A is assigned with the ASCII code 97. Lowercase b is assigned with the ASCII code called 98. Lowercase c is assigned with the ASCII code called 99. And up to a lowercase z, is assigned with the ASCII code called 122. Even numbers are also assigned. That is why I told you, coming here to the alphanumerical category, for example, I told you if door number is 125 bar A, both numbers and characters are there. I told you not to include in numeric. I told you to include in characters, because characters also include numbers also, numeric also, right? So now if you see, 0 is existing as a character also. For the character 0, the ASCII code assigned is 48, integer called 48. For the character called 1, not the number called 1, for the character called 1, the ASCII code assigned is 49. For the number called 2, what is the ASCII value assigned? It is 50. And up to 9, we were assigned with 57. So from 48 to 57. And for lowercase a to z, it is 97 to 122. And from capital A to Z, it is 65 to 90. So a number is what acting like a number is acting like a character. So this ASCII, this American Standard Code for information interchange, what it does is, from 0 to 127 only, what they does, from 0 to 127 only, they were given with codes. For only 128 characters only, they were giving a corresponding integer codes. So it is enough that if you take only 128 numbers, if we store 128 numbers, then it is enough. So if I want to store 128 numbers, how many bit I will require actually? So I should, to find that, what I need to do, I think I have already taught you how to find the binary representation of a number. So what you have to do, first of all, you will take 127, for example, you take 127. First of all, you divide it by 2. Okay, so when you divide it by 2, what you will get? You will get a remainder 1, and you will get a quotient. You will be getting a quotient 60. So when you divide 127 divided by 2, what you will get? You will get 64 or 65. You get 64. And what is the remainder of it? The remainder of it is, see, 1 minute. So when you divide 127 by 2, you exactly get 63, not 64. You get 63, and the remainder is actually, so again what you do is you divide your 63 by 2. So when you divide 63 by 2, what will happen? The remainder that you will be getting will be 1. Now again, if you divide your 63 by 2, what will happen? Your remainder is 1, but the quotient is going to be 31. And what you do is again divide your 31 by 2, and you will be getting a quotient of 15, and you will be getting a remainder called again 1. And what you do, while you divide 31 by 2, you get quotient 15. Again what you do, you divide. So you take 127, keep on dividing it by 2. So once you divide 15, what you will get? You will get a remainder called 1. What is the quotient? The quotient is 7. Again when you divide your 7 by 2, what will happen? Again you will get the same remainder 1, and the quotient is going to be like 3. Again when you divide it by 2, again the remainder that I supposed to get is 1. And what is the quotient? Quotient becomes 1. I told you something, when the quotient becomes 1, stop the process, take it in the reverse way. So what is the corresponding binary representation of it? 1 1 1 1 1 1. So how many bits are there? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So to represent the maximum number 127, you require only 7 bits. So in 7 bit itself, you will be able to represent 0 to 127. But but we will not be able to take a partial byte. The very smallest unit is only 1 byte. You can take 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte. You cannot take 1.5, you cannot take 4.5 byte. Partial way of byting is not available. So instead of taking 7-bit, what I did is we took 8-bit. That is the reason why character is assigned with 1 byte. And now what here also, if you see, 1 byte is allocated. 1 byte means 8-bit is allocated, means only I will be using 7-bit only. The first bit, the most significant bit, is considered as a sign bit. It is used for sign. If that most significant bit is 0, then that number is called as positive number, and the most significant bit is 1, then it is called as a negative number. So we will see all this sign bit, negative bit, 2's complement, all these things we will see later in the session. But here I think this is enough to understand what is a character, how a character is there in the C program. Okay, so what I need to show you is that I'll just show you something. uh, See here in the program, what I will do is that I will first of all I will take a simple character variable. Still now I have not given you introduction to variable, but let you just for the time sake, what you do is that now for just for this part, just assign a variable is just a container to store a data. So what I'm doing is that I'm storing 65. You may wonder why I'm storing integer. I told you that integer is what character is all about. So if 65 is an integer, then that code is given to the uppercase character called A. And what I will do is that initially I will just print f %c. This is called as format specifier, and we will also see about this format specifier, which means %c means character, %d means integer. So what I will do, %d space %c and comma. For both the format specifier, I will give x as the variable, which means that instead of %d also the value stored in x has to be printed. Instead of %c also the value stored in x has to be printed. So it will print x's in the integer format also, 65. It will also print it in the character format also, that is capital A. Along with this, I need to also tell you one more important thing. So to know that one more important thing, what I will do is that I'll just debug the given code. So we will see what is debugging these things and all. But first of all, what I will do is I'll just debug the code. Fine. So if you see here, I'll 1 minute. Fine. So if you see here, I'll just start the debugging process. Here what will happen is line by line execution. I'm just going to show you what is going to happen. Fine. See here, actually you will be able to see two sections. One section is called as call stack, the other section is called as variable. So actually if you see this, this is the stack means a RAM. So I told you that when your program is executed, your program will be taken to your stack memory, means main memory, to your RAM. So what happens is that I told you the compiler will automatically start from main function. Whenever a function block is executed, whenever a function block is starting, once it started, an activation area will be created inside the RAM, inside the stack. So one activation area will be created here in the stack for the corresponding function. So for the corresponding main function, we are creating a activation area. And inside this activation area, what will happen is whatever block is required, memory blocks are required, that will be created inside this activation area only. So here only the name of the activation area is stored. Here whatever inside the activation area is displayed. So inside main, only one character, only one variable we have declared, and that variable is called as x. So now what I will do is I will execute this line. You see, when I execute this line, what is stored in X actually? X is stored with number called 65 and the representation of 65 is only capital A. But what is stored here in X? X is stored with 65. So whenever you are assigning any character, if you assign a character also, what will happen? Corresponding number only will be, the ASCII code only will be stored, and the character cannot be stored because system will understand only numbers, not any characters. Okay, so that I need to show you. That is the reason why I have showing all these things, because whenever you create a character, only the number format of it will be stored, not the character will be stored here in the background, here in the CPU. Okay, fine. So let me stop this process and let us just print it and see what it is going to just print us. What is the expected output to be printed? Fine. So gcc-o, the name of the program file is hello, and the file that I need to execute, compile, is translate as gcc. Sorry, it is hello. Okay, so it is going to be hello world, right? Hello world. Fine. And now if I just execute this program, it is printing 65. So when I give %d, when I am asking the compiler to print it in the form of integer, then it is printing the ASCII code. When I'm asking it to print it in the form of a character, then it is printing it in the form of a character. This is simply a representation. This cannot be stored anywhere. Just while displaying, I'm just producing this format and I'm displaying a character called A, and character A cannot be stored anywhere. Only the number called 65 can be stored in the background. So this you need to understand a lot. Okay, fine. Now I need to show you two things. I need to show you long integer, two modifiers. Okay, I will show you two modifiers. For example, okay, fine. So coming back, so we will see about modifiers. What is a modifier? There are two modifiers available. One is unsigned, the other one is long. What is modifiers? We are seeing about modifiers. And what is modifier? Two kind of modifiers we are having. One is unsigned, the other modifier is long. And what is this used for? Unsigned is used along with the integer data type. So I told you something, if it is an integer, it takes either 2 or 4 byte. And I told you by default it is signed, which means it takes both negative as well as positive. Suppose if you are defining something, for example, if you are taking something called as unsigned integer, if you are defining it not a simple integer, it is an unsigned integer. So when it is normally int, then it defines to a signed integer. When we are mentioning the modifier called unsigned, then only positive numbers can be taken, no negative numbers can be taken. Okay, only positive numbers, no negative numbers. So what you will do, you will not have this negative section, you will utilize this negative section in the positive itself. So if you double it, what will happen? The original is 65526. So this unsigned long int, okay, this unsigned int, this unsigned int will take the range between 0 to 65526. So it is taking also the capacity of the negative side, and it is also taking it to the positive side, and it is storing. So this is what the usage of unsigned. If you want to make use of only the positive numbers, if you want to make use of only the positive numbers, suppose if you want to store the price of a product, price of the product can never be a negative number. So don't go with signed int, you can go with unsigned int. So when you go with unsigned int, you can store a very large value. So comparing 32,000, 65,000 is a very large value. So this will help you when you want a little bit higher storage, then you can use unsigned according to the situation. Okay, next coming to long. What is long? Similar to unsigned int, you can use long int. What is long int? Long int means it will give you more space. Like what is a memory size that taken by integer? 2 or 4, right? So if the compiler is taking only 2 byte, then long int will give you 4 byte. If integer takes 2 bytes, then long int will take 4 bytes. Okay, fine. Suppose if integer takes 4 bytes, what will happen? If integer take 4 bytes, then long integer will take 8 bytes. It will take 8 bytes. So depending upon this, you decide that how many in 8 byte, how many bit will be there. 8 into 8, 64 bit. So when there are totally 64 bit available, what will happen when there's totally 64 bit? Then totally 2 power 64 up to the number called 2 power 64 you can store. That you can calculate roughly 2 power 64, and you just decide that how large a number can be stored when you are using long integer. So whenever you want to use a very large integer, then you go with long int. So without any purpose, don't go with long int, because without, if you want to store only 5000 or 6000, and if you are using long int, it means that you're consuming a very large amount of memory without any purpose. So if you want to store a very large number, then go to long, then use the modifier called long. So if you are not using a large number, you only are using small numbers, then go with simply integer. Don't go with the modifier called long. Okay, so this unsigned can be only is also can be used with character also. So also you can use it with unsigned character, because character is also a number, right? So unsigned character, so it where unsigned can be used, unsigned can be used along with integral data type. You can see here in the classification, integral, integer and character we will be able to use. So coming to unsigned character, signed character means minus 127 to minus 128 to 127. If it is unsigned means no negative, so take this 128 and attach it with that side. So what will happen? 0 to 255. So you will be able to access between 0 to 255. But it is useless because we have only ASCII codes from 0 to 127. Even 0 to 255 is available. We will not be able to use it. We can use it as a number and we can store, but in terms of character it is useless. But I'm just telling you that unsigned can be used with character. Similarly, your long can be used with double. Instead of long int, you can use it with long double. How much byte long byte will take? 10 bytes it will be taking, long double. So it is little bit a more memory, larger. Double is itself a very large number, but long double is further larger. Okay, fine. So now the next thing that we will be seeing is variables. Okay, the next thing that we are going to see is variables. So to make you understand variables better, I'll just give you a small demo. Okay, so for example, just let me open the command prompt. Let me check whether the internet is connected or not. If it is not, just let me connect it. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to ping a certain website. So I hope if a few people are okay with networking, that you will understand it very well, or if not, I will just try my best to make you understand. No issues with that. Okay, fine. So now what we will be doing is I'll be pinging a certain website, for example like youtube.com or google.com or facebook.com, some domain. What I'm going to do is I will be pinging. So now the internet is connected. So now what I will do is ping. I can ping www.google.com, for example. Okay, let me check by pinging it. Host name is wrong, so we will go with youtube.com. Okay, better, we will go with youtube.com. So you can able to see that pinging YouTube, there is a reply from there is a reply not from a website, it is from a number. Some number is given, am I right? This is a number, fine. So what I will do is that I will just take this number and I'll just go to browser. This number looks totally different, am I right? This number looks totally different. For example, we'll just try simply with this. Fine. Okay, so better what I will do is I'll ping a different website, ping www.facebook.com for example. We'll just check whether we get any information or not. Okay, fine. I think we get a hexadecimal one. This is a hexadecimal representation actually. So what I will just simply do is let me try. Okay, fine. See, actually, when we ping, we used to get the IP address of the website file actually. So, but here we are not getting a exact IP address. We are getting a different IP address. So we will try something. We will try a different website, for example. So if you are not getting, I'll just explain you detailedly. Theoretically, I'll just explain you. Yeah. Here, if you are able to see that the reply is coming from a number like this, which is called as actually IP address. This is generally called as IP address. I'll just tell you, people who are who knows networking already will know what is IP address, but I will just explain you what is IP address. So now I take that IP address and I'm entering here, and I just get invalid URL. So I think they are everybody is blocking their websites. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So what I have to tell you is that every system is assigned with a particular IP address. Okay, for example, if I just click on my network device, and if I just check, each and every device will be having a IP address. Each and every computer will be having a IP address. Okay, so what is this IP address is called as IP address. There comes a word called address. What does address means? If I want to find, if I am just ordering something in Flipkart, I will provide my address, because that particular delivery boy have to find my house using the address. So each and every house will be having a separate address. Okay, so similarly what happens is, every system, if I need to allocate, I mean, if I want to identify, everything will be having a unique address. That address is what called as IP address. So if you see here in the detail section, you are able to see a IP. So this is the IP of the current device actually. This IP of the current device. So if you are able to see there are two kinds of IP address available. One is private IP address, the other one is public IP address. What is a private IP address and what is a public IP address? Private IP address, for example, I'm having a Wi-Fi. I'm having a Wi-Fi broadband connection. For example, if 10 systems are connected to the one single Wi-Fi connection, one single Wi-Fi broadband, then it is called as local network, because I am connecting to a particular network. For example, like Airtel. No internet connection is there, only network, only the Wi-Fi connection. Like for example, share it. So now what happens? Automatically this 10 system will be able to identify each other using the IP address. That IP address is called as private IP address. So private IP address is able to identify your system among a local network. But coming to public IP address, using public IP address, anybody will be able to access your system, will be able to identify your system. For example, I will just check what is the public IP of my system, for example. So in Google, if you go and search for what is public IP, and this will show you the public IP here. Yeah, your general public IP, actually it is like encoded. Actually your original IP address will be in the form of 4 colons. It will be separated by 4 colons, and each and every colon will be having maximum of 3 numbers. Okay, so this is your address, and using this address, what you can do, anybody will be able to access my system. So this is the address of my system. Anybody in the internet can be able to access my system using this public IP. And why I'm telling this is that if you use this, just the IP address itself, I will be able to access my system. For example, if google.com is there, google.com is hosted in a particular server, some system like my laptop or your laptop. So every server will be having a public IP. So every website is corresponded to a public IP. corresponding IP, that IP only here in the ping I'm showing. Okay, for example, if it is like YouTube, if I'm just pinging like youtube.com, for example, youtube.com, what I'm getting a reply from a IP address. I'm not getting a reply from youtube.com. I'm getting a reply from the IP address. I'm getting a reply from the IP address. So if I give IP address, I will be able to access a website instead of youtube.com. But what happened is, it is very difficult to remember such a very large number. Hence it is very difficult to understand, to remember this large number. We gave a name to each and every IP address. We started giving a name to each and every IP address, like google.com is a name that is given to a particular IP address. And for YouTube, there is a separate IP address there, but we are giving youtube.com. Instead of writing the IP address, we are giving youtube.com. So I'm not able to by heart or remember the numerical address of a computer. That is the reason why I'm giving a name, a literal, okay, a string as a name. Okay, this is called as DNS, domain name server, we used to say. Okay, the similar concept only I'm taking, and I'm showing you the requirement of variable. For example, what happens is that I'm taking a data called 5. What will happen? A block will be created in the stack RAM, because your execution is taking place in the main memory, not in the hard disk. So your execution is taking place in main memory, in the RAM in stack. So in the stack only, what will happen? The block will be created. How much memory you require? For example, 5 is a integer data, so it requires definitely 2 bytes. So if it requires 2 bytes, what you will do actually, 2 bytes means totally it will be around 8 into 2, 16 bits will be there. So first of all, you will be allocating a 16 bit actually for that. Then what will happen? So here I just show you here in the Excel sheet actually. Let me show you here in the Excel sheet. Okay, so what I will do here is, I'll just mark this with borders first of all. So I think you will be now able to see this cell that is marked with black borders. Okay, so for example, what I will do is that totally 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 and 14 15, and this side you have you can start from F. Totally you will be having 16. So 16 bit you are having. Am I right or wrong? 16 bit you are having. So when a data called 5 is provided to through the program, okay, from the input buffer I receive 5, and when I take 5, automatically what will happen? In the RAM, in the stack memory, a 16 bit will be allocated, 2 bytes will be allocated. Okay, so 2 bytes will be allocated, and for this 2 byte, what will happen is that each and every block will be having a address, because if I want to locate this place, I will using this address only I can do. What is the address? Address is a 16-digit hexadecimal number. It is a 16-digit hexadecimal number actually. So I think I'm taking a data called 5. To store the data called 5, I have taken 2 byte block, 8 totally 16 bit I have taken. So each and every block, I mean 1 byte, the entire 8 bit is taken with only one address, 16-digit hexadecimal address. So now let me tell you one thing. This 16-digit hexadecimal number will be very hard to remember, because it's a 16-digit hexadecimal number. So it's very difficult to remember a 16-digit hexadecimal number. So instead of having a 16-digit hexadecimal number, we are giving an alternate name to the memory block. So usually people say that variables are the name given to the data. No, names are, variables are the name, not the names given to the data. Variables are the name given to the memory block, because every memory block is having a address which is a 16 digit hexadecimal representation, and that 16 digit hexadecimal representation is very hard to remember, like IP address. So we are very hard to remember the IP address, right? So that is the reason what we did, we named it like google.com, yahoo.com, youtube.com. Similarly, we are naming a block, so that name is what called as variable names. So variable is the name. Okay, variable is naming the memory block, not naming the data. It is naming the memory block. Fine. So now what is the next thing that I have to show you is that let me just give you little, so let me give you a simple way of initializing certain variable, declaring a variables. So int, for example, I'll just enter int roll number. I'll just simply declare a variable of data type integer. Why I'm specifying integer? Because each and every data type is require a different memory. For example, integer requires 4 byte, and character requires 1 byte, double requires 8 byte. So let us assume like this: there are different kind of containers. One container is like very big, the other container is very small, and there's a medium container is there. And you're purchasing fruits. So for example, you're purchasing pineapple, you're purchasing apple, you're purchasing grapes. So according to the size of the fruit only, you need to decide which container to take. Similarly, roll number is an integer. So if you tell integer only, so you have to take that size container. Okay, so you are taking integer here. So that is why I'm specifying the data type. And some people, usually people say that variables are the name that is given to data. Here there is no data. For which data you are giving the name? No. Variables are not the name given to data. Those are the names given to the memory block. Fine. So now what I can do is that in the next line I can write roll number is equal to 5. Either this way also I can write, or otherwise roll number is equal to 5. Here also I can write. And now let me take a character array. Now I mention a character. Why? Because character takes only 1 byte. So this is a different size container actually. So take character, for example, a blood group or some group is there like ABCD. So let me take character group is equal to single quote A. So here one thing that you can understand is that if it is a character data, a single character, then that character has to be enclosed within a single quote. If that character is not enclosed within a single quote, then it is called as a variable, not a character. So if you want to mention it as a character, then delimit with a single quote. Okay, if it is a variable, then don't delimit using a single quote. Okay, for example, the next thing that I can take is like, for example, float. Price of something is taken as float. Price is equal to 17.54. 17.54. So if I click on this, if you are not storing a float value like this inside a float variable, once you store it only, it is converted to a float. But simply when you give a float value, then it is considered as a double. You can able to see here. Okay, but when you store, while storing, this is independently called as a double. But when it is stored inside a float variable, then it is automatically converted to a float value. It is no more a double. Okay, but if you want to simply mention it as a float independently itself, then you mention a f at the last. When you mention f at the last, then it is a float. It is not double. You can able to see there in the tooltip itself. If you without f, if I give and if I just hover, it is showing double. But when you click on f and if you just click here, then it's showing float. So if you want to independently make it a float, then give f. But here there's no need of giving f because the variable itself a float. So automatically that typecasting will happen. So no need to give. But when independently when you are writing something, then you write f to indicate that this is float, not double. Okay, fine. So I think so you understand this. Now I will just show you what is the procedure of naming. Okay, there are good ways of naming variable. There's a bad way of naming a variable also. We will see both these things. Okay, for example, int x1 is a valid kind of variable name. Then coming to int 1x, this is not valid. You can able to see red color symbol is coming. It is not valid because a number, it is not valid because a number cannot occur first. So variable name cannot start with a number. So this is absolutely wrong. So this way you should not follow. Next, I can take int roll number and I can create, this is a valid one. This is a valid one, but int roll space number, this is not fine because you should not use space in between a variable number. Instead of, if you want to differentiate between these two words, then you can either use, for example, underscore, or whatever you can use. What you can use is roll and then capital NO. So this capital will tell that this is a new word. Or else you can use capital R OLL, which is one word, and capital NO. So wherever uppercase character is occurring, it means it is starting of a new word. Okay, so these methods are, so you should not start it with a number, one important thing, and you should not give spaces in between, then there's a next name. And one more thing, always use a related name. Okay, so you don't keep I, J, A, B, C. Don't give names like that. For every variable, give a reasonable name. Okay, it has to relate to the concept for which you are using the variables, because when the program is very small, then it is fine, but it becomes very large, then when you come back and see your code again, you should know for which variable, for which purpose you are declaring which variable. So if it's a very large program, you will just confuse yourself. Okay, so always keep a related variable name. Fine. So the next part of the session is going to be arithmetic operators. Like operators and expression, we'll be starting with operators and expression. So we are going to start with operators and expressions. And what operators and expression means, we have different kind of operators available, and we will see. I'll just list all the operators one by one. The first operator is arithmetic operator, and the next one is relational operator. Next operator we have is relational operator. Next operator we have is logical operator, and the next operator we are having is bitwise operator. The next operator we will have is increment or decrement. Okay, increment or decrement operator. And then we have few more. We have assignment operator, compound assignment operator also there. Okay, we have assignment operator, and also we have compound assignment operator. Compound assignment operator. Okay, few more operators also we are having, but these are the very important operators, so we will see about each and every operator, then we will move to the next concept. So coming to the arithmetic operator, if you see what are the arithmetic operators, important operators available: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and mod operation also is there. And coming to relational operators, you have less than, you have less than or equal to, we have greater than, we have greater than equal to, and we have equal to. And coming to the logical operators, if you see logical operators, we are having logical AND operator, logical OR operator, and not operator, logical not operator. We will see the usage of each and every, but let me first of all list out what are all the operators available. Coming to bitwise operators, bitwise AND is available, bitwise OR, bitwise NOT is available, and bitwise XOR, exclusive OR is available, and right shift is available, and left shift is available. Then coming to increment or decrement, we have only two operators here. One is plus plus, the other one is minus minus. Coming to assignment, we have only one operator here, that is called as equal to. And coming to compound assignment operator is plus equal to, minus equal to, star equal to, division equal to, mod equal to. And also we have it can be combined with bitwise operators also. Okay, bitwise and equal to, bitwise are equal to, and left shift equal to, and right shift equal to. Okay, so these are all the operators which is available in hand. So first of all, what we will do is that we will take arithmetic operators. So we will take arithmetic operator, and we will I'll just give you a demo of arithmetic operators, and then we will move fast. Okay, fine. So let me take integer a, and it is stored with a value called 5. In the same line, if you want to create one more variable, then give comma and write one more variable called b and store 10 in this. And what you do is that you can have a third variable called c and no value assigned, because whatever the resultant value will be stored in c. So what I can do is initially c is equal to a plus b. So what a plus b will do, a plus b will add a 5 and 10, the resultant value 15 will be stored in c. What a is 5 and b is 10, and that 5 and 10 will be 5 and 10 will be added and stored in c. So what this is actually sum of two numbers. So what I will do now is print a percentage d comma c. So what we will do is now let me execute this program and check what will be happening here. So I'll execute the same compile it, then execute it. So it is printing 15 because 5 plus 10 is 15. And now I can go with b minus c. Okay, b minus c, for example. What is b minus c here? B minus a. What is b minus a means? B is 10 minus 5 is totally 5. So 5 will be stored in c. So now what happens is, again, just make a compilation process, then hello, yeah, 5 is printed because the difference between 10 and 5 is 5. The next what I will do is I'll just multiply it by a. So if I multiply it by a, what will happen? 5 multiplied by 10 will be equal to 50. That 50 will be stored here in c. So what I can do here is I can just execute the same and I can print 50. So now let me go with the division process. So coming to the division process, if you see, if you want to divide 10 by 5, what happens is, see, 10 is going to be divided. Okay, so 10 is going to be divided. So 10 is called as the dividend. Okay, 10 is called as dividend. And if you see, 5 is the one which is going to divide 10. So 5 is a divisor. And when I divide 10 by 5, I get the answer as 2, where the answer is what called as quotient. Is there any remainder available? If I divide 10 by 5 equally, it is splitted into 2 parts. So quotient is 2, no remainder is fine. So remainder we can call it as 0. So 0 is a remainder. So when you use a slash operator like this, what will happen is, when you divide 10 by 5, what will happen is, you can see here 10 is the dividend, 5 is the divisor, 2 is quotient, and 0 is the remainder. Fine. So now what we will be doing is, if I just display, what has to display? Quotient will be displayed. What is a quotient? Quotient is divisor. So quotient is divisor. Fine. So now we will just execute the same one and let me print it here. Sorry, I have not compiled it, because you have to make a compilation in order to feel the change. Have to affect the change, then only the change will be effect. So I'm not saving it here. Now only I'm saving it. So after saving it, just again let me compile it, just again I can go. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this is, see, for example, I will just change b to 12. What is 12 divided by 5? 12 divided by 5 has to be actually 12 divided by 12 is a dividend and 5 is a divisor. Actually it has to be like 2.5. It has to be actually 2.4 actually, right? Exactly, if you see, it has to be 2.4, but the two numbers is actually integer. When the two numbers are integer, then the answer also will be in the quotient also will be in integer. So when you are dividing two integers, the quotient also in integer, so it remains 2. So 2 means it is going to be equally split into 10 only. What is a balance? Balance is a reminder, called as a reminder, so reminder is actually 2. Okay, so 12 is, now if divided by 5, the answer is divided by 5. So what will happen here? Here the answer will be 2. Only the whole number, the integer only we will get, because you are dividing a 2 number. 2, what you are printing? You are printing, you are dividing a 2 integer numbers. I'll just change this directly into mod now. What mod will be doing? It will be doing the same division process, but it will be giving you the answer of remainder, not the quotient. Slash gives you quotient, but here mod will give you remainder. What is remainder here? 2 is the remainder. So again, let me execute it. Let me, yes, 2 is the reminder. So mod will take the remainder part and your slash will take the quotient part. Okay, now you might ask me one thing. So if I have to divide B and A, but the answer has to be in float. How it is possible? Actually it is possible, but first of all your C has to be a float variable. Okay, your C has to be a float. So float is float C. So your C has to be a float variable, but it is not only enough, because you are dividing two integers. Still you see here, these are two integer. When you divide two integer, you will receive a integer number only. That integer number will be stored here in float. But in order to do that, you can do a typecasting by telling that you need to convert this into float. And now what will happen? Now your answer will be exactly in the format of float. Now change it to percentage F in order to print a float. And now if you just print compile it, and if you check, now 2.4 is printed, because you are performing a typecasting here. Now this is considered as B, but it is first of all typecasted into float, and then only it is divided. So what I will tell you is that either your numerator has to be float or your denominator has to be float. If either the numerator or the denominator, if either one of it is a float, then only the answer can be received as a float. If both are integer, answer also will be always integer only. Okay, fine. I think hope you understand this better. So we will go to, I think, arithmetic operators. We are done with all the arithmetic operators, and now I think we can go with and one more thing, coming to your mod operator. You see, mod operator can be only used for integer and characters only. It cannot be used with your float number. That's the first thing. Very first and important thing is that your mod operator cannot be used with the float values. So what I will tell you is that mod operator, mod is only for integer and character only, because these two are integral data types. So mod is only suitable for integral data types called as integer and character. It is not suitable for all the other data types. This is one important thing that we need to understand now. Yes, so now we will see these operators one by one. We will see in the lectures coming up. Now I'll just take a break and I will see precedence, and we will see about precedence and expressions of the operators, this arithmetic operators. We will finish the precedence of this arithmetic operators, then we will just go to the next concept. Okay, fine. So now what I will be doing is that I'll just tell you the precedence of the arithmetic operators. Okay, of the operators channel. Okay, fine. So if you see, the first precedence is given to highest precedence is given to actually brackets. Highest precedence is given to brackets. Then the second highest precedence is given to three operators called as multiplication operator, division operator, and mod operator. These three operators are given with the second precedence, higher precedence. And the least precedence is given to two operators called as addition operator and negative minus operator, subtraction operator. So first precedence, highest precedence is given to open close brackets, and the next precedence is given to multiplication, division and mod, and the last precedence is given to addition and subtraction. Okay, so this is called as associativity. And associativity is like left to right only. Associativity is will be there. So left to right is the associativity. Okay, associativity. Okay, fine. What is left to right is associativity? It means that when multiplication and divider is having the same precedence, and how to choose among both these things, then left to right, whichever is occurring first from left to right will be given the highest precedence. If the operators are having the same precedence, then you have to see the left to right associativity. So whichever is occurring first from the left to right, then that will be given the first precedence actually. For example, let us consider a equation. For example, I will just tell you a simple equation. X is equal to a plus b multiplied by c, then it is again added by d, finally it is divided by e. For example, this, let us change it into subtraction. So in which order the execution is going to happen? If you see from here, the highest precedence is given to star and slash, equal precedence is given, and then the next precedence is given to addition and subtraction, same precedence is given. Now you have to choose between star and slash, which to perform first. So I told you, when when multiple operators are having the same precedence, then go with left to right associativity. So from the left, I think star is first occurring, so you have to execute b star c first of all. So b star c will be executed first, and then only what will happen, then slash will be happening. So first b star c will be happening. So answer of b star c, for example, it is stored at z, and then next to only d divided by e will be taking place, and the answer is stored at y. And now if you see from the left side to right side, you have plus and minus, both are having same precedence, so go with left to right associativity. What is having, which is the first operator occurring? Addition. So add a plus z and store the answer as b, and b minus y, store the answer in x finally. So this is how the precedence is going to work. Suppose if I just let me go back to the original equation here. Instead of b star c, if I want to make c minus d to occur first, since even though my subtraction operator is taking less precedence than star and slash, if I want to execute the c minus d first with the first precedence, then I have to enclose it by using bracket, because bracket is having the highest precedence. So when bracket is given for this particular expression, sub expression, then this c minus d will occur first, then only it will go to multiplication and division after that. Okay, so when you want to give a less priority operator high precedence, then you have to enclose it by using a bracket. Yes, fine. So now we have few expressions in hand, and we will be converting these expressions into code actually, so which we will be doing in the next lecture. Okay, so we will start again from expressions, because when expression is given with what precedence, because precedence is very important, you cannot write it anyway. You have a procedure using associativity, using the precedence, you have to write it in a perfect manner. So that we will start from the next lecture, and this is it for this lecture. Okay, so before I just close this lecture, I want to just tell you that we have a portal, e-learning portal called MySlate.6phrase.com. Okay, so the link of that I can just write it here. The domain link is MySlate.6phrase.com. and in this website, if you see, we are having n numbers of courses available here. Okay, so those courses, what you do is, please, you can take those courses, and those courses are having a well structured problem set is available there, using which you can easily crack interviews of well reputed companies, both product companies as well as service companies. You will be able to tackle those hiring questions. So if you I will just suggest you, I will just advise you to take these courses, which is there in myslate.sixphrase.com. Okay, so that is this is it for the this is it for this session, and I hope we will see in the next session about the uh, expression. Okay, so here is a page. Actually here there are a lot of courses given here: Python programming, Java, data structure, C programming, and also we are having company specific courses also available. So if you want to go with a specific company, then go with a specific based. If you want to go with Wipro, go with Wipro. Or you don't want to go specifically with company, if I want to take a generic course, then go with C course, C programming course, data structure, and Java programming, and Python programming, which will be very useful for you. And these generic courses will make you tackle, it will make you, solve any kind of hiring problems. Okay, so we are placing all the repeated hiring problems here in the set, so this will be very useful for you. Okay, fine. So thank you.